Hey everyone, this is a very long overdue series. In the past, on my travel videos that I've done here on YouTube or on my blog, I've touched on different series like a cruise series or videos touching on the ideas of going to Hawaii or Mexico, etc. And I wrote a lot of articles about Disney, but I've never actually done a video series solely devoted to the Disney vacation, just like I did my cruise. So this is going to be the first installment. This is going to be part one of the series I'm now going to call Disney 101, where I'm going to be addressing a family vacation to Walt Disney World. Now this is going to really be helping more of the first-time Disney vacationer. So if you're experienced in Disney, a lot of this is just going to be stuff you already know, but I think the first-time Disney vacationer needs to understand the huge difference between the facts about going to Walt Disney World and the facts that are involved in planning a Walt Disney World vacation versus the thousands upon thousands of opinions that somebody will see if they go out and look at discussion boards devoted to Disney or other websites devoted to Disney outside of Walt Disney World themselves. And I also know clients that started looking at Walt Disney World's website thinking that it would be easy to go out and plan a vacation, and then they've called me and said, I need help. I'm more confused than when I started. So I think this series will help hopefully get the first-time Disney vacation off to a good start. And again, we'll try to stick with the facts. I may offer an opinion or two when I talk about the various different segments of these videos, but I'm going to try to stick as most as I can to the facts of how to book a Disney vacation. So without further ado, let's get into part one, which is, number one, just like all vacations, you have to establish your budget. You need to know your budget up front. You need to sit down with your family, determine how much money do we really want to spend going to Walt, or have to spend. How much disposable income do you have to take on this vacation? Because naturally, Walt Disney World vacations can be affordable, but your budget's going to determine the various segments of these vacation packages that I'm going to break down in these videos, which is starting again, number one. Now that you've sat down, you've looked at a budget, whether it's $2,000, $4,000, $5,000, whatever, that's going to help somebody like me, or it's going to help you then figure out, now where do we stay? And for the sake of these videos, we're talking about Walt Disney World vacation packages. We're talking about staying on site. I'm not even going to address the ideas of staying off site because I've done that in previous posts. And again, lots of opinions get thrown out when somebody starts determining whether you're going to save money staying off site or on site, etc., etc. And I'm not going to get into that. So we're going to assume you want to stay on site. And for the sake of staying on site, I might mention later in some videos on the advantages of staying on site. But for the sake of these series, let's stick to the basics, which is now you've got a budget. Now you want to stay on site for various reasons, and reasons I would tell you that you want to stay on site. So what do you do next? Before you start talking about tickets and dining and water parks and more options and park hopper options, all those things I'm going to talk about in the future, before you even think about those, your budget's going to determine your level of accommodation. I'm going to break it down into three main categories. I know Disney enthusiasts will say he's wrong. There's at least five. Yes, there is. There's value, moderate, deluxe, the villa properties, and then also the campsite over at Fort Wilderness, campsites, cabins, etc. But for the sake of these videos and for the sake of most first-time visitors, I'm going to stick you with three. And we're going to talk about the three: value, moderate, and deluxe. Now there are variances, and again, you're going to get a lot of opinions from people on whether you should try to budget for value, moderate, or deluxe. But let me just give you the facts involved with them. Value resorts, number one, are further from most of the parks. They're set out, except for the Pop Century, All-Star Music, All-Star Sports, All-Star Movies are all congregated on a piece of land on Disney property that's further from the Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, etc. Now they're actually a little bit closer to the Animal Kingdom, but again, they're further from the majority of the parks. Pop Century gets moved in a little bit closer than the All-Star Resorts as far as it being a value resort too, and you're a little closer to Hollywood Studios and Epcot, but again, you're still going to have a bus ride, and all value resorts are on the bus system. So unless you drive, you will be taking a Disney dedicated bus to the individual parks from those resorts. So all the values are on the bus system. There is no other option to get to the parks from the values other than their bus system, and again, unless you drive. So number one difference is location. Number two difference is naturally the room size. The rooms at the values are typically smaller. It's more of a, I'll call it a motel setting. There's a vanity that's a bathroom vanity that's outside in the room. And then you have a separate area where the shower and the toilet is. But the rooms are typically smaller. You have the choice between a king, or you have a choice between two doubles in most cases as far as the bedding configuration. And I call them more of a motel setting too because they're all outside access. You walk down an outside corridor and your room is actually accessed through those outside corridors versus being inside like some other type of hotel. So that's why I refer to it as a motel, even though every Disney property is themed one way or the other. Whether it's All-Star Resorts or the Pop Century, they're all themed according to a Disney theme. So you're going to be engulfed in Disney as soon as you get on there. So I don't want you to think motel and think somehow Motel 6 or Super 8 or something like that. There's still a Disney property, and they're going to have multiples of pools at the value resorts. And again, the difference between that is you just have a standard pool, no water slides, no fancy water park type setting, things like that at the pools. And then you're going to have a one choice for dining, which is what I call a food court. And that's where you're going to get your quick service options, which I'll get into again in a later video. So now you've got further from the parks, smaller rooms, and limited dining, and just your standard motel, hotel style pool. That's the value resorts. Now, I've stayed at the value resorts. I like the value resorts. I've stayed at the Pop Century. I love it. Again, that's my opinion. So as I'm talking through these, I'll tell you I've stayed at every level of resort, and there's pros and cons for all, but let's just stick with the facts and understanding what the value is. Then you get up to the moderate. Now you've increased a little bit of room size. There's still outside corridors, so it still has that kind of motel feel. The properties are a little bit bigger, and you have a resort-style pool, which will have a water slide of some sort, things like that. And you have an additional dining option. So instead of just your food court-style options for quick service dining, now you have at least one table service option. So going from value to moderate, now you're up to difference, a little bit difference room size, not much. You're a little bit closer to the parks in some of the resorts, and you also have an additional dining option, and you have the resort style pool. So before I get you confused, we've gone from value, now we're moving up a little bit to moderate, and again closer to some of the parks, more dining options, a little larger rooms, resort style pool. Now you're going from moderate up to deluxe. Now you're talking much closer to different parks. For instance, if you were to stay at the Contemporary, it's basically right next door and even walking distance from the Contemporary Resort to the Magic Kingdom. So all of the deluxe properties will be somehow close to one or more of the parks. I say one or more because you have places like the Yacht and Beach Club and the Boardwalk deluxe properties that are actually kind of straddling between Epcot and Hollywood Studios, which gives you more options on how to get there, whether it's walking, the Friendships, or bus. And then like the properties over by the Magic Kingdom, you also have the monorail option, in addition to the boat and the bus to get you to the Magic Kingdom or over to Epcot, etc. So going from moderate to deluxe, now it's a larger room. Some of them are much larger than the moderate or value properties. You have much more dining. Now you have more table service options. You definitely have the quick service option still. And then you have an abundance of pools, but you have the resort style pools. But really the big difference between going from moderate to deluxe, outside of the maybe considering even the pools from moderate to deluxe somewhat of a wash, you have a much larger room, much more dining, and much closer to one or more of the parks. Now, if I use the Animal Kingdom as an example, you have the Animal Kingdom Lodge. Now, the Animal Kingdom Lodge, even though it's really close to the Animal Kingdom, it's still much further away from the Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios and Epcot. So there's your big three. So when you're sitting down with your budget, well, I will help you, or you'll be able to understand that you have those three main options. Value being the cheapest, naturally it says value, but that is the cheapest option. Moderate being the next less expensive, and then up the most expensive is deluxe. So I hope that helps. That's going to get us started. I want to use that as a base. Value, moderate, deluxe, with you understanding the differences between those three. And then as we get in the next videos, I'll discuss, maybe show you a little bit difference on the pricing, but also discuss some other things you're going to now have to factor in for your budget as far as tickets, dining, etc. So I hope that gets us off to a good start. If you have questions, feel free to leave them on YouTube or go to my blog, which will be in an address shown on this video or in the description of this video. Go to my blog, send me a question, comment, etc. I'd love to get feedback from these and also on my blog articles. So thanks for your time, and we'll talk to you soon on get into part 2 of the Disney 101 series. Thanks.